India and European country a great interest in building relationship in every and any field which spans.
Greetings, everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you to another insightful episode hosted by the Wiki India-Italy Business Council. We are a bilateral organization dedicated to fostering business ties between India and Italy, while connecting and empowering women. I'm Saloni, President of the Council, and today's discussion promises to be enlightening as we explore policy, culture, and mobility in the Indo-Italian Business Corridor. This episode is in association with RLVT Tax Legal AFC Advisory. In the dynamic landscape of international business, understanding the intricate interplay between culture, policy, and talent mobility is very crucial. So today we have the privilege of diving deep into these aspects with our esteemed guest, Dr. Daphné. Dr. Daphné brings a wealth of experience and expertise, particularly in the realm of intercultural studies and business relations between India and Italy. Welcome, Daphné. It's an absolute honor to have you join us. So while I've briefly introduced you, before we dive into our discussion, I'd really like you to introduce yourself and your ventures in your own words, please.
Thank you for this opportunity and this warm welcoming and this morning, Saloni. So hi everybody, my name is Daphné Reguiessé. It's a little bit complicated because I'm French, and this helps frame out my journey and also my research interests, which is by and large related to the topic of international student migration around the globe. So a few words about myself. I have moved to Italy in 2010 to study for first a bachelor degrees in international relationship and human rights. Then I moved to kind of a more local scale because I started working on public policies, which eventually lead me to working on urban public policies and more in general policies aspect related to the specialization, the presence of several foreigners and communities, international communities, I would say, in Italy, with a very a big focus on the Indian community living in Padova, so the city where I am based in Italy, which is in the northeast part of Italy, close by Venice, which is generally quite famous. In this first part of my journey as a student, I also had some professional experience, which led me to also work with India, because between my bachelor and my master's, I spent some time in an NGO in Orissa, in India, as I was working on human rights at that time. And then, I kind of went back and forth between India and Italy when I was doing my PhD, because I am affiliated with a French research center based in New Delhi, which is called CSH. And I also work with the University of Venice, and nowadays I do work with the University of Venice as a research fellow, so the name is Foscari. But before that, I joined the group into the association, which is also promoting ties between India and Italy, which is why I'm also sharing this piece of information. The name of the association, which gathers the University of Venice and the University of Torino scholars, it's called Sarasvati. And we also organize some online meetings. We promote the learning of the Hindi language, among others, in order to prepare like a suitable pattern to work together between these two great countries. And I'm also part of a research group based in France, and we in France, AZaadi, it's the name of the association, and we kind of have merged the work of our research together, because also research frame new potential activation of strategies and policies. This is the goal, the final goal of researchers, also to have their information used into practical activities. So yes, I've been in between all these dynamics on the ground here in Italy for quite some time now, for 14 years, and I keep doing that through my own company that I have created some years back, because I work as a freelancer. The name of my company is AZaadi. Since in Italy we called it libero professionista, so I wanted to keep this freedom to carry on my activities in the terms I wanted, although still working with the university, of course, because I work as a professor in the University of Padova and I work as a researcher in the University of Italy. But I wanted to keep this contact with the ground, with the fieldwork, with the people that sometimes university is not really able to keep because they speak a different language in very privileged and closed spaces. And we definitely need, as a sociologist and an anthropologist, we need this contact with the ground.
Right. That's pretty fascinating how your journey has taken you to delve into the culture, the culture of India. Do you speak Hindi yourself, or?
Yeah, I do. I have learned on my own with a book when I was living in Orissa, because Telugu and Oriya was definitely complicated. So I stick to the vegetable names, and that was enough for my daily life. But for all the rest, I mean, there are quite some similarities between Oriya and Hindi. So I thought that it would have been wiser to learn Hindi rather than Oriya to carry on with my research. So yeah, of course, when you do field work, you need to know the language of the country you're based into. Otherwise, you cannot capture the daily dynamics that are happening. You cannot understand what people are saying, and this is part of data. We need that.
Wow, rightly said, rightly put. I agree. But yeah, and 14 years is such a long time. So you
in Italy, yeah.
Okay. And
14 years in Italy. In India, I've been working there since 2014, so it's about 10 years now, and I spend I would say I kind of split my years between India and Italy. So I spend a couple of months every year in India just to keep this connection with the country.
This is pretty interesting, and it's kind of making me kind of diverge and ask you about what really intrigued you to the Indian and Italian culture. Italy is of course close to you, but India specifics, there must be something that really intrigued you to learn more about and be interested in the Indian culture.
Yeah, it started very early age, in fact. So I really don't know. I just happened to read those books, which was like a fiction book. But I was, I don't know, 10, 11, and I just never stopped. I started conducting my first research about India in middle school. So it has just always been there. So as somehow Italy, because I come from a family who has worked for multinational corporates, for international corporates. I've been moving here and there every 3 to 5 years, and we spent some time in Italy when I was a child. So this is how I wanted to come back here. But yeah, I don't see there's so much differences at the end of the day between India and Italy, which is also probably why I lived in this in between words, because when I'm not in India, I'm in Italy, and when I'm in Italy, I am with the Indian community living in Italy, which will bring us to the topic also of today's meeting. So yeah, I don't have like a rational answer to this question. Has always been my fascination since I was a child, and I just felt that I needed to to jump into it with a more in-depth approach to understand it better, and this is just what I did.
Great. Some things can't really be comprehended completely. So
yeah.
So Daphne, let's kick off the discussion now by delving into the influence of culture and tradition on the business interactions. So drawing from your extensive research on the Indian society, well, you are a foreigner to the Indian land, and you've been working in this bilateral corridor.
Yeah.
How do you analyze cultural values and traditions, and how do you think they shape business interactions between India and Italy?
That's a very tough question. I've been thinking about it. Well, cultural and values are important anywhere. I think it's something that should always be taken into account in every business interaction or relationship you will build with a country, because to first apprehend the business or the idea of the business, you need to be aware of a lot of things, the other parts, to avoid also doing mistakes. So it is significant to have like an idea of what is the country you're working, how is it built, which is the culture, the daily life of people, interest. I mean, you need to have like a broad idea at least, and then you need to cultivate it. You need to consolidate your culture. You can explore it by building trust and by building personal connection with people that will kind of help you having some insights on how to behave, because that's also a way to behave at the end of the day. And over time, you will consolidate it, and the social interaction you will have, the experience you will have, will help you out understanding how some stuff are happening, to help you decodify some exchange that may seem like totally out of place for you, but that entirely makes sense if you have this broader framework, this broader background in your mind. So of course, in that sense, I think like Italian entrepreneurs should definitely invest in building this kind of strong interpersonal relationship. And in the case of India especially, there is particular attention that should be put to showing some respect on custom, tradition, and also hierarchies, because hierarchy and seniority in Indian business setting is very important. I think it's more important that how we apprehend it here in Italy, and it can really help you out in navigating negotiation between, entrepreneurs, and also in having like effective decision-making process, because you have all the elements you have captured all the elements that help you understanding then how to deal with these people, to deal with the business on their hand.
Right. I think you really put it out well, and your observations have been right on point when, as far as the Indian business domain is concerned. Well, those are fascinating insights, of course, Daphne. Moving on, I would really want to shift our focus and get your insights towards the Italian entrepreneurs venturing into the Indian market. So what advice would you give to Italian entrepreneurs or Indian entrepreneurs who are entering into the Indian or Italian market for the first time, considering the cultural environment that's there?
Yeah, it's of course it's a story with two faces, right? You have the two sides to be analyzed. So for Italian entrepreneurs in entering the Indian market for the first time, I will recommend there to be very patient, to be very open-minded, to be very flexible, and to really have this willingness to adapt to local custom and practices, which is what I was saying in answering your previous question. And then again, the idea of trust, which is central and crucial in every relationship that is being built in business environment, but also beyond in any kind of environment. And again, this is the part that takes a lot of time, but it is essential if you want to build relationship and activities that can carry on the long run. You can do it by organizing some kind of networking events, social gathering, and some meetings that can help you out in in making this relationship more straightforward, but also more natural. Because sometimes when you're in the pattern of a meeting in a big room, and you are very careful on what you are saying because you don't want to spoil anything, then it's not natural, and it doesn't really help the parts to understand and to apprehend what is going on. So this has also a lot to do with learning about, of course, the etiquettes, the business etiquette of both countries, which is somehow something I also teach my students who are learning international affairs, and especially dealing with French countries. So I definitely believe that this is also something that people should give a particular attention to more and more. The communication styles, the way you interact, also the gesture, a lot of information that the body also gives you, and that helps you out to then frame better negotiation tactics between the countries. So I hope I answered your question.